determinism.
Not hard determinism.
Not libertarianism. But a middle way. Compatibilism, some might say.
I'm a royalist, and I write my book during the Civil War, which is going on right behind me now.
Vienna.
Werner, what's your sign?
Vienna. Keep going. Vienna. Vienna.
Circle.
Vienna.
What's going on here?
Nothing.
Do your work, Holly.
No!
I force you to do it.
No! That's my pen!
You have to do it. It's good for you.
No!
Read it!
Okay.
Was he worth moral praise?
Was he morally responsible?
Well, he was coerced, meaning that he is not worthy of moral praise.
Not only that, but there are external causes limiting his freedoms. Therefore, like you said, Ayer, he is not worth the praise.
End cut.
Stop him! Stop him now, you wretch! Stop him! Stop him!
That was the Civil War you just witnessed there. Of England, 1600, if you didn't know.
But what we're saying, well, what I'm saying, in fact, is that that was habitual ascendancy, which means that because the general had told the soldier to stab the other guy, he didn't have any chance to deliberate in his own free will, meaning that he is not determined. That is what we call soft
Determinism. And then I'll say something about me being a royalist.
Hi, Nicole!
I think.
Hi, Nicole.
Guys!
It's actually selling me
Fentanyl.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that's mildly dangerous. It's a lot of fun, though.
Izzy's brother's friend actually does have gummy bears if you want them.
What, like weed gummy bears?
Yeah. Quite cool, isn't it?
Hang on, for real?
He just goes to Oh, thank you, Nicole.
Where'd you get it from? Is that
It was my grandma's.
Really? That's
Yeah.
cool.
Do you want to see?
Yeah, I'll have a look.
There you go.
Yeah, no worries.
I always go above and beyond. Oh, where's my ring?
How much moral responsibility did Nicole have in that situation?
She was internally constrained, but does that mean that she had free will?
She has kleptomania, if you couldn't tell. I think that's an internal external cause that makes her
Internal,
unmoral.
actually, blooming, it's internal. We haven't thought about this.
I did say internal.
No, this dialogue's good for, like, you
Yeah,
know,
it's debate.
realistic,
It's debate.
yeah.
Keep filming.
take
I'm still filming, we leave this in, we leave this in.
Leave this in, right, okay, right. Is it internal or external though? Kleptomania.
I think it's internal, because it's part of who she is. It's internal to her character.
Yes, but if you think of your river analogy, Hobbes,
My river analogy, what a good analogy.
is she flowing with the flow of her free will, or is she being constricted? Right, so you want to be restricted anyway, yeah. Yeah, is she being constricted? Argue against me now.
She is being restricted by her kleptomania.
But doesn't you say that even though we have the constraints of the river that doth flow in its own natural way, that still means that she has free will? That the river, is there anything in the river that is determining her path?
Please start that again.
No, we're not starting that yet. You can stop it now.
Yeah, we leave this bit in as well.
When you hear my name, Ayer, you link to determinism, you've got to think of constraints. Constraints all the way. It's what makes soft determinism different from hard determinism, right? So if a person is being constrained, then clearly they're not free. Whereas libertarians would argue that people are free all the time, but they're really not. Hard determinists would say that no one is free ever. Constraints, constraints, constraints. There's 3 types that I've explained during this video, albeit quite cryptically. But let's go through them now, just to develop your understanding. First, you have coercion. Do you remember when Izzy was talking to Ollie about his revision? He didn't want to do it at all. But after being coerced by Izzy, he got straight down to it. Next, we have habitual ascendancy. Do you remember the Civil War? There was that nasty general, wasn't there? With a shoutish, loud voice. Also known as Oliver Cromwell. So basically, when a person doesn't engage in the deliberative process, they don't have time to deliberate over what decision to make because they're being rushed by a nasty ass general, then they're not free to make that decision. Lastly, we have internal constraint, which is when, do you remember we had Nicole with her kleptomania? It's internal constraint. She wasn't making that decision. She wasn't in her right mind to do that. I've been Ayer. Thank you for listening.
Whee!
No, move back, you donut. What are you doing?
Oh, it's going down there. Are you pouring it?
Yeah.
I, Hobbes, will explain the river analogy, which may or may not be mine. So, basically, the river, it flows unimpeded by any barriers, but when you constrain it, there's an impediment, an external cause that means that the river is not there to free at liberty whichever way it wants to. So, if you think about it with a man having his limbs seized and then he reacts to that, he's not doing that out of his own free will, like the river. He's forced to do it. He's coerced. Carry on with that thought.
Now,
Any questions?
Soft determinism. Hobbes.
And Ayer.
Hands up.
Examples.
Questions. Suggestions.
Criticisms.
Yeah. Judgment. What's yours? I know what mine is. I know what yours is. What's yours?
Hands up, guys. Good points, bad points, we'll have them.
Now, we told you about the river analogy.
No, you gonna say anything else about that?
What does the river analogy? What does it mean?
Can anyone explain it back to us?
We'll give you a few hints. Unimpeded. Relate it to morality.
Internal, external.
No suggestion's a bad suggestion. That relates to questions too.
Are you sure? Really?
Don't know how I feel about that one. Sorry, Izzy, I usually agree with you, but
Not on this occasion.
Not on this occasion. EastEnders is on tonight. What choices will Miranda have to make? Are her choices predetermined? Or does she have the free will to choose not to watch it? Habitual ascendancy, what do you guys think? Yeah, sorry, Miranda. Let's take it to the Bible. Think of some examples. Coercion. Free will. Was Jesus free to die?
Habitual ascendancy.
Yeah. Good point, Ayer. Good point. Thank you for developing my own works. You didn't do it as good a justice as me, but it was perhaps necessary. I wouldn't be so sure. That's a bit emotivist, you catch my drift. Rubbish. Thank you for your time. That was so intense.